I'm a LinkedIn first creator, which is very unheard of mostly, right? You have YouTubers, you have people who do Instagram full time.
How to optimize your LinkedIn profile? What are the extra things that made you stand out?
Being a college student who had done 25 internships before graduating, students were asking me questions on LinkedIn that how did you do this? How did you get paid?
Wait, you did 25 internships.
You have to also understand it took me 60 companies rejecting me to get my first internship. The kind of college you go to definitely matters. And if you do your degree from a top tier college, it gives you an unfair advantage. The only thing was that I wanted to do something more beyond just what a company had to offer to me. And LinkedIn seemed to be the most professional platform to be on because...
So hello and welcome back to Masterclass Podcast by College Vidya. And in today's episode, we have a very extraordinary guest. She has more than 1 lakh followers on her LinkedIn profile. She is also a content creator and a career coach. She believes in breaking stereotypes while selecting a profession and is paving path for a lot of other people as well. Please welcome Dhairya Gangwani on the show. And I hope you guys have a lot of valuable insights from this podcast, and I hope you watch it till the end. So hello Dhairya, welcome to Masterclass Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here, Swikriti. Firstly, you have a very unique name. I quite like that, and I think I'm really looking forward to the conversation because anything related to obviously education and career gets me extremely excited. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Same with us because we are at College Vidya. So we generally, believe in educating more and more audiences of ours, more and more learners.
Right.
So that's why you are here on this podcast. And I would start with, who is Dhairya? Because that is the first question that I want to know. And not just who Dhairya is in her profession, but also who Dhairya is in, in her real life. How was your childhood like? And which school you went to? So all of that details.
Sure. No, I am glad that you started with the childhood. That is something that I do on my podcast quite a lot also because I think it's extremely important to know a person completely. You have to know their background, right? And I feel that Dhairya is this girl who is extremely over ambitious, extremely talkative. I've just always been this girl who has always been talkative, always participating in all kinds of activities, up on the stage, taking part in all the school plays, dance competitions, acting like the heroine of her own movie. And in general, I'm just this girl who tries to always be as optimistic as possible. I try to look at the positive things in life. I try my best to do that. And I'm this person who enjoys being around people. I love being around people. I thrive on, the energy that I share with like-minded people, right? Traveling to different places and again, learning new languages and getting to know people is something I enjoy. And by and large, I think if you keep all those professional tags aside and not equate my profession to, my personality, I think at the end of the day, I'm just this person who wants to ensure that I live the kind of life that I want to live and that I've envisioned. Like I said, I'm over ambitious, so I don't think just till the ceiling, it's always above the ceiling. And I just want to have a good time, be able to do things for my family, for myself, and lead a good life where I can create impact and make good money.
So were you always ambitious? Like
always.
I think since your childhood?
Yeah, I very, very vividly remember when I was in 4th or 5th grade, I would play this imaginary game of sorts wherein I was this big businesswoman who was a tycoon. And she had multiple people working with her in her team. And she would come to work every day in a limousine. And that is how I was always, imagining and dreaming in whichever direction possible. And I think I always envisioned myself to be in this position wherein I'm delegating work to people, making people grow with me, and I'm doing really well. But it's always a fancy life. So that was always there.
Who introduced you towards the business side of the world? Like,
Yeah.
were in your 4th standard and you knew about,
A business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, see, there was, honestly speaking, there weren't many people from my family who have been into business per se. Although, obviously, my dad started out with his own business. And that's when, but I didn't know a lot about it, to be very honest. I didn't know he's a businessman.
Achha.
It's just that I saw a lot of people around me in my school whose parents were, into business. And that really got me intrigued to know more about what this is. And I just realized business, people who do a business are rich, is what I understood.
Yeah.
And they lead a good life. That is all that I understood as a 5th grade kid. And that fascinated me. And I just knew you get a lot of independent freedom to do what you want to. And there's a lot of ownership involved as well. But I knew that these are big people, is what I knew.
But that's a lot to know for a 12th standard student. I mean,
5th standard.
5th, ठीक है, 4th and 5th doesn't matter, but उस टाइम क्या ही पता था, उस टाइम बस इतना प्रेशर होता था. आई थिंक हर बच्चे पे प्रेशर होता है कि मार्क्स अच्छे आने चाहिए,
Correct.
फेल नहीं होने चाहिए सब्जेक्ट में.
And I was very studious.
You're very studious.
पढ़ाई की तरफ हमेशा मेरा focus था.
I think that's how, and that's why you have reached what you have received at the age of 26.
Thank you.
That's commendable of what you have done at such age, and you have achieved so much. You are a content creator. You are expert in LinkedIn profile optimization, and you're also a career coach. How did you do all these 3 jobs together, and how does it feel like to be where you are right now?
See, I'll be very honest, and I'm not saying it just to say it. I think when you are over ambitious, there's a curse attached with being over ambitious, which is you're never happy and satisfied with where you are because you always want to go to the next level. So while I'm extremely grateful with whatever I've been able to do, and yes, I'm not going to say that, no, I haven't achieved anything at a young age and be like, okay. No, not modest, but I have achieved a certain degree of whatever you want to call it. I don't know what you want to term it as. I don't associate it to success. Yes, I've done some good things for myself. And I am at a place where I'm happy, surely, with where I am, because I know my journey and what I've done. However, like I said, when you're over ambitious, you always look at the next thing, thing. What can I do better? What can I do more? What can I do more efficiently, right? What else can I do? This is done. You don't want to be comfortable and complacent. Now, it's been 4 years of creating content, being a career coach, going to 600 plus colleges, working with corporates, working with brands. You're in a comfort zone because I'm not saying I can wing it and I'm the best at it, but I've been doing it for a while to be comfortable there.
Yeah.
Hence, I started a podcast then. Chul hoti hai na? You don't want to stop at one thing.
But that's, I think, a really nice thing.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much how I look at it, right? It's great that you're good at something and you've got to a certain point, but there's always so much more to do, and that's how I look at it always.
How did your LinkedIn journey start? I think that is the foremost thing that I wanted to ask you, because I think you also started with LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I think that's how you gained a lot of attention on social media as well.
Yeah. So I think, like you rightly said, I'm a LinkedIn first creator, which is very unheard of mostly, right? You have YouTubers, you have people who do Instagram full time or both. But I feel, firstly, I was never set out to be a creator, right? In 2020, I'm a 2020 batch pass out, right? Engineering. At that time, the terminology had not even come in. It's only after March, pandemic time. Obviously, there were YouTubers, but content creation as an industry, the creator economy had not boomed to the extent. We all know it happened after
pandemic.
After COVID, right? So, there was never an ambition, I want to be in front of the camera, create videos, or be an educator. No. I think I got a job with KPMG straight out of college as a technology consultant. I was doing pretty well at it. I was very happy. The only thing was that I wanted to do something more beyond just what a company had to offer to me. And LinkedIn seemed to be the most professional platform to be on, because what I wanted to share was educational. Because being a college student who had done 25 internships before graduating, students were asking me questions on LinkedIn that, how did you do this? How did you get paid internships?
You did 25 internships.
Yeah.
What made you do that?
Clarity. I didn't have clarity on what I wanted to do under the management domain.
Okay.
Being in an engineering college, I had no mentors or guides to look up to who could help me with management perspective things. Everybody was like, aapko MBA karna padega. That's the only way. And all my seniors were from a core engineering background, so they couldn't really assist me anywhere, not their fault. But I didn't have anybody to fall back on and get advice from. That's when I realized maybe I can do internships. And gaining real-time experience in these different fields in management will give me a clarity on what under management do I want to do.
I think that's commendable of your understanding at that time that you decided of going on to different internships.
Yeah.
People crib that I don't know what to do. I'm not able to find a job. I'm not able to find an internship.
Yeah.
But also, how did you crack 25 internship? I think.
Yeah, I think, see, the number looks fancy and it's very lucrative to look at. That, okay, she's done 25 internships, all of them were paid, but you have to also understand it took me 60 companies rejecting me to get my first internship, right? And there was a time where I was so demotivated because everybody was giving me the same reason that you're a second year electronics and communication engineering student applying for a sales or a business development or a market research or marketing internship and you don't have the experience for it. But I was like, I want experience. That's why I'm applying. Why are you telling me I don't have experience? I didn't get the logic. मुझे logic ही समझ नहीं आता आज भी कि आप एक फ्रेशर को ये क्यों बोलते हो कि आपके पास एक्सपीरियंस है. वो फ्रेशर है, उसको एक्सपीरियंस चाहिए. आप एक्सपीरियंस दो ना. You become the one जो देगा, फिर कल जाके वो बोल सकते हैं मेरे पास एक्सपीरियंस है.
ऐसे मीम्स नहीं चला है कि फ्रेशर
वही आप
एक्सपीरियंस
कहाँ से लाए हम. तो I was very frustrated at a point of time, right? And getting rejected by 60 companies it does break your morale.
Yeah,
right? You feel like you're probably not good enough or what are you not doing right? So, but I think one thing I always had clear in my head was that you've made this choice there, and even though you're doing an engineering degree, you've decided you won't go down the tech path and take up like a pure coding job at an MNC, nor do you want to do your core EC. And you have that clarity. Jo karna hai uski clarity hai, and it's going to be difficult because you are not taking the conventional path. I couldn't do an MBA because of financial circumstances back at home. That was very clear. But the dream was always to do an MBA straight out of engineering. I always wanted to do an MBA. But when I got a reality check, it couldn't happen and it's not possible. Then you have to be practical. What can you do and how do you make the best of what is in your hand? That's when I thought internships were the best way. And I would apply on Internshala. I didn't know of LinkedIn back then. Nobody had guided me in my college that be on LinkedIn. So Internshala was the platform where I used to apply for internships. And I was facing rejections. Then I changed the way I was applying to internships. So instead of just talking about what I'm doing in college, I also spoke about what I'm doing in different clubs and chapters I'm a part of, what I'm learning, what skill set is it helping me develop, right? Because being a part of Toastmasters International, let's say like a society, they teach me a lot about how to manage people, how to resolve conflict, how to communicate well, how to work in a team. And these are essential skills. But people don't know how to talk about them and articulate that in their resume or in an internship application. So I changed that because before I was not doing that, I was just stating things. Stating things was not helping people who were rejecting me. When you make it more impactful and talk about the results or the impact or how it's helping you and how it's helped you build a skill set for life, then the recruiters were interested in at least interviewing me, right? So that's how the first internship came about, and it was for a business development role with an Abu Dhabi based firm. But it was a remote internship.
I think there has a lot of clarity, and if people do not have clarity, I think for them also internships, applying for different internships will give you a lot of clarity. I think that's very well said. But बहुत लोगों को clarity भी नहीं होती है. ये भी एक चीज़
नहीं होती है. But I feel see, जब clarity नहीं होती है is when you should experiment even the more. Because till the time you don't try out 5 things, you will not know what's for you.
That's true.
And before I would just say this as a line, but now I think it's applicable to everything in life. I mean, today I know I like Italian as a cuisine apart from Indian because I've tried Italian, Mexican, Lebanese and everything.
Right.
तो मुझे पता है I like Italian. If I don't try out something, I'll never know. Today I've done a consulting job. I've done an engineering degree. I've tried out internships in almost every sphere. I've tried coding out and I've done content creation, so I know what I like doing and what I want to do. So it's applicable to everything.
That's very important.
It's very important. Yeah.
But coming back to how did you start your LinkedIn journey?
Yes.
Please give us a...
Yes, coming back to how it was going. So in college, again, I was not very sure of what I wanted to probably do, but I knew what I didn't want to do.
Okay.
Right? So knowing what you don't want to do in life just helps you eliminate things quicker.
Yeah.
So like I knew I don't want to do a pure, full-fledged tech job for sure. I knew I don't want to get into core electronics for sure. I couldn't see myself there. That's when I understood, okay, management kar sakte. Management was vast, so then you experimented with internships, understood what I could do. After doing 25 internships, got the clarity, consulting is a great place to be.
Yeah.
Because I'm good with people. I like solving problems. I like being in the forefront, communicating with clients. So consulting fit in well. Plus you get to travel, right? So it, like I told you, the kind of person I am, everything was adding up. So during my placement season, I applied to only management-based companies, which in an engineering college was like very less. So I sat for just 20 companies, whereas 800 companies come on campus. Took that risk. It was a big risk. And I needed a job. Like I said, because of the financial circumstances, I didn't have an option of not taking a job or somebody backing me up with anything at that time. So job to leni thi, I knew it, but it was genuinely a big risk because what are the odds that you will get selected? Because my friends were giving 5 company interviews every day. And I sat for 20 interviews in the entire season of a year. Right? So, but I did that because I thought wasting the time of a company also by just giving the test and wasting my preparation time makes no sense if I know I'm not.
You had the clarity कि मुझे ये नहीं करना.
नहीं करना. तो मैंने time waste नहीं किया and then prepared, got through KPMG, got a pre-placement offer. So I got a internship plus a full-time role with them. And I ended up doing a 6 months internship with them and then followed by a full-time job. But what happened is, my job role was that of an SAP associate, SAP analyst. So SAP is an ERP, an enterprise resource planning solution, and it's the most widely used ERP in the world. So SAP is used by different companies for all of their different, enterprise-related solutions that they need. Now, SAP has different modules, and I was working on a module called SAP Ariba. So I would work on the cloud technology of SAP. So I was a technology consultant. You need a mix of functional and technical skills to be in this role. And after I got hired, 6 months went well. Pandemic had come by March. My internship started in Jan. So 2 months I did it offline in Bombay. By March, we were all asked to return back. And by July, the internship was done. But that's where the breakthrough point came in. Because they told us that we were supposed to start with our full-time job immediately, initially. So in July, right after the internship was done, I was supposed to start working the very next day full-time. But because of the pandemic, my offer got deferred by 2 months. In those 2 months, I had nothing to do. Because I'd done 25 internships, I knew that 2 months बाद job start होने वाली है. इधर भी internship कर ली. Now what do? Pandemic, bored, you have free time, you have nothing to do. Then I thought that maybe getting active on LinkedIn could help. A couple of people here and there were talking a lot about LinkedIn then, and some people had also told me you should probably be active on LinkedIn. Which I didn't take seriously then. But I randomly one day just posted a random quote, and I just liked it. I liked the feeling of posting and just 5 people also liking that post. And I was like, let me continue doing this. So there was no direction, there was no...
You just kept posting.
I just started posting and I never looked back then. Right, so I started posting in September 2020.
What did you used to post back then?
Yeah, I started with random stuff. So I started with motivational quotes and my opinion on things. Then I moved to talking about my journey. What did I do in college? Why did I decide on doing engineering? Why did I choose EC as a stream? What did I do in the first year of college? How did I get into different clubs and chapters in college? So my perspective of whatever I was able to do as a college student, because I realized after graduating from a top-tier private engineering college of the country that you don't get a lot of clarity and guidance even there. So I started thinking of what tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4 city college students must be facing. So I was like, let me just share whatever it is that I know. Because I struggled with creating a resume and LinkedIn profile, applying for internships. I did it all by myself. So I thought, why not share some tips with people if they can help them?
If you started adding value to your...
I wanted to just add value to other people's life in some way. I got a lot of backlash for it also in the beginning because LinkedIn has a lot of the top VPs and CEOs of MNCs active there, right? It's a very quality-based network, which is great. But, people had things to say around the fact that she's just 22 years old. She has graduated 2 years back and she's giving us tips on resume and how to crack a job. And I mean...
But I think that person will be the best person to give you an advice because you have gone through all those things.
But I mean, people will always have something.
That is
how it was. But that's how the journey on LinkedIn had started. There was no direction.
I think social media में सबके पास opinion होता है.
होता ही है. Everybody has an opinion. And I was like, then I started enjoying it. So I continued doing it.
So pandemic did a lot good to a lot of people. I think they started being on social media and then
No, pandemic changed everything for me. It changed a lot of things for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You may sound very harsh and like a sadist while saying it, but the reality is, जितना नुकसान हुआ लोगों का, कुछ लोगों बहुत effect हुआ. And while I know the gravity of the situation, it did help a lot of people and changed a lot of lives also. And probably I was one of those lives for sure.
Yeah. So brilliant. I think that's brilliant. And उसके बाद काफी ज़्यादा professions भी आए. After pandemic, the entire social media, that got highlighted.
I mean, I never knew that I would be a content creator. This profession didn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, who took content creation seriously and being a creator as a, as a job or a profession per se? I think we're still not there completely, firstly. I still think we're not still there wherein everybody understands that it can be somebody's full-time job. But at that time too, there was like no clarity.
But I think a lot of people want to achieve the content creating now because it has been...
It's aspirational.
It's aspirational now. But speaking of LinkedIn, LinkedIn still do not have a lot of content creators and we don't see them like as a content creator. Instagram, YouTube still have a lot of content creator and people aspire to, make videos and they're posting. Do you think profile building, LinkedIn brand building is a job, is a profession and has a scope?
See, that's a good question. See, first let me try and break down LinkedIn as a platform. Okay. It is a social media platform, but it's a professional networking platform on social media. The agenda is not to entertain somebody. Okay, the agenda is not to give you a boost of energy in the middle of meetings or an adrenaline rush. That's the job of Instagram. LinkedIn is purely created for folks to network with professionals who are working in a space where they aspire to work in, or want to get there or already working there. So it's to get in touch with people who you want to network with. It's to build a brand. It's to find jobs. It has a very professional agenda. However, it is a social media platform. And hence today or tomorrow, I always knew it, creators will be here and there will be a terminology for creators, which means brands will also come here. Which means there will be a monetization avenue, and which means you can leverage the platform in ways to build revenue streams for yourself. So, as simple as you looking for a job and getting a job via LinkedIn is also helping you make money. Or it could be you being a freelancer and looking for clients on LinkedIn, so using it as a lead generation platform. Or you could leverage LinkedIn to just create your personal brand as an entrepreneur. Today, an Aman Gupta from Boat or an Ashneet Grover, everybody is active on LinkedIn. They're so active. Ankur Warikoo, Ranveer Alabadia, they're all doing it because they have LinkedIn as a professional-wise audience. It's quality cream audience, and it's great to build a brand there, right? So it could be used for personal branding. Or you could use it to actually educate people if you have cracked the game, like I am doing. I conduct trainings on LinkedIn for corporates, for colleges, for edtech startups. I also do one-on-one consultations, so that is very limited. But if you have understood how LinkedIn works, you can not just train and provide consultations, but you can also start your own agency, right? So I have an agency as well, a personal branding agency, wherein we help founders and CEOs with personal branding on LinkedIn, right? So we manage accounts of founders and entrepreneurs who don't have the time, because entrepreneurs have to build the company. They have hundreds of things to look into. They cannot sit down and write posts on LinkedIn. So we manage their account end to end and help them build a thought leadership on LinkedIn. So I've already listed 5 to 6 ways. And obviously the most obvious way is to collaborate with brands, talk about their products and services as an influencer, and also earn money. So there are multiple avenues and ways in which you can leverage LinkedIn as a platform, irrespective of whether you're a student, freelancer, working professional, business owner, or doing anything else, right? So it's up to you as to how you leverage it in the best manner possible. But LinkedIn is a gold mine of opportunities.
But I've also seen a lot of people, saying that can help you in personal branding. They write it in their bio. So I think a lot of people have taken it as a profession also. They have, and they are getting a lot of clients. They are getting their job done. So how is there any bracket of earning that you can give to us? How much can a person earn in this profession? Or if they make LinkedIn their whole source of...
See, firstly, I'd like to clarify one thing. There are multiple people who write, we help you create a personal brand. Just writing, we help you with personal branding, or being a ghostwriter is very different from having an entire agency or creating a business out of it. Okay? Please understand that because you have to have that clarity. If you're just a ghostwriter and that is okay. If you're a ghostwriter and you're writing for different people or for companies also for their clients, it is a full-time profession. You can do that and you can freelance and do it. You can do it full-time too. I think typically ghostwriters can earn anywhere starting from a bare minimum of at least 20,000 a month, bare minimum, from even up to lakhs from one client to even lakhs, right? There is no ceiling as such. I mean, if you're great and then if you have a team also, there's no ending. But I think overall, I cannot, if you're asking me from a perspective of how much you could earn if you're doing multiple things on LinkedIn, I cannot cap it. Because if you're also doing brand deals, you're also earning from LinkedIn by selling your digital products or your courses, also using LinkedIn as a lead generation platform for your business or your consultations and also for your agency.
That can't be capped.
It cannot be capped because you could be making lakhs, you could be making crores also. It doesn't matter, right? But I think on an average, if you just talk about becoming a full-time LinkedIn content creator and let's say you have 10,000 followers or 20,000 followers, see, I want to set the expectations real. If you have quality content and you're very serious about it, you have a quality audience, then you can earn with 10,000 followers anywhere between at least, I would say 30 to 50,000 rupees a month. If your only source of income is LinkedIn पे brands, that's it.
अच्छा, brand collaboration होता है LinkedIn पे?
हाँ.
क्या
तो हम क्या कर रहे हैं? सिर्फ brand पे तो obviously मैं निर्भर नहीं हूँ, पर यार पूरा I'm a primary LinkedIn creator. It's been 2 years of me quitting my job. That's the thing. There's not a lot of awareness about it, right? A lot of people don't know
what
that
we are here for.
So I mean, no. All the brands that you can think of that run campaigns on Instagram today are on LinkedIn.
Also doing LinkedIn.
3 years ago, yes, it wasn't that active or they didn't understand how to run campaigns. But today, every brand that you can think of wants to partner with good quality LinkedIn creators as well and run creative, innovative campaigns with them. So, I mean, it's pretty active and the ecosystem is only getting more aware of the fact that there are creators on LinkedIn who we can collaborate with as well. So, brands are only more and more number of brands are coming on LinkedIn now.
But do you think that will drop down the quality of LinkedIn and the main job of LinkedIn and the social media platform?
See, it's a yes and a no. It's a double-edged sword. But the reality is, see, even as a platform, LinkedIn has to sustain itself also, right? And it's an ecosystem. The platform, a social media platform and a creator, it's a very symbiotic relationship. You can't break it. If a creator is not making money via a platform, they'll not be there. If they are not being there, the platform will die. Simple. So, no matter how harsh it is, yes. And again, LinkedIn was never just a job-seeking platform. It was a networking platform. A Naukri.com cannot be compared to a LinkedIn. That's another perception people have. Naukri.com pe jaake you just upload your resume and look for jobs. On LinkedIn, you have one tab as a jobs portal where you can apply for jobs, but you also create your brand. You also do LinkedIn Lives. You also post. You could very well create a personal brand. You could also leverage it to become a creator. You could use it to, find leads as a freelancer or whatever may be the utility. So you have to look at it from all angles and then decide how do you exactly want to make the best use of the platform to be able to get the outcome that you want to, right? So the opportunities are unlimited.
So there's another thing that I've seen a lot of people speaking about, that 7-figure hack, I've reached that 7 figure of this and that, and people post it like that on LinkedIn. So all of that is true, or is it just a gimmick?
You'll never know. You can never know, right? Until and unless I don't actually go and speak to that person, and if I don't see their accounts and I know, how would I know? I mean, what I'm trying to say is, there are people who are going to say things and they may have actually achieved it and hence they're saying it. But we have more and enough number of people who are extremely confident at faking it, right? You cannot, the problem is that it's very hard to distinguish, right? Who is just saying it for saying it and who are the ones who have actually legit got the results.
I think it's possible as well. If you can see, can you earn 6-figure income from LinkedIn?
You can. Obviously, 100% you can. You can earn 7-figure also. if you can earn it from YouTube and Instagram, you can earn it from LinkedIn also. You can earn it by building any business of yours also. You can do it by anything in the world. Earning any amount of money is not impossible. That is not what people doubt. It's the credibility of how you were able to do it, because probably they don't have enough social proof.
Yeah.
Because you saying I am a 6-figure agency owner or I'm making 7 figures is one thing. But you having enough, I would say, in public work, maybe testimony of things or something to back it up is what creates that notion in people's mind of even doubting or second guessing, oh, actual mein isne kamai bhi honge ya nahi. Right? That's because if you maybe gave enough social proof to back up what you're saying, why would people even question that?
No, because a lot of people often look at other people's progress or the process of how they do it, how they did it.
Yeah.
And that's how they follow and they become the creators they want to become.
Agreed. But how many creators do you know of also, or agency owners or businessmen? Nobody shares the exact process.
Yeah.
No one will ever share the exact process. You have to find your own path and journey. So number one, that's the thing, right? The people who share the process and then they tell you I did this are the ones who are more trusted. That's the only difference. And they're credible.
Yeah.
That is the difference.
Okay. So, how can somebody find clients on LinkedIn? And especially for working professionals who are, working with some other company and they cannot even post. Because there are a lot of things that comes when you are doing a full-time job.
Right.
So, how is it possible for them to, find clients on LinkedIn?
Yeah. I think, it's a step-by-step process. Very clearly, there are 3 steps to it, right? The first one is you have to first work on your profile in a manner wherein it's very clear to anybody coming on your profile what value do you have to offer, what do you currently do, and how can you help them. If that is super clear and crystal clear by just looking at your profile and just going through it in like a minute, not more than that, because nobody will stay for more than that. And you're able to give them that clarity and your profile is convincing enough that I would want to dive deeper or this profile is interesting and see more. That's the first step. Second is once they've shown interest and they go through your profile and you really want to be able to land clients, there has to be enough, again, backing in terms of content.
Okay.
Because anybody can write, I'm a social media strategist, I'm a content strategist, I'm a ghostwriter, or I'm a brand marketing manager, or I know things about XYZ. But actually talking about XYZ with a certain authority actually proves how much you know. So somebody could say that I'm a great digital marketer or I know how to run paid ads on Google. But somebody who can break down an entire campaign and talk about how they ran a performance marketing campaign for a company, the kind of ROAS they got, what they were doing wrong, what audience did they set, that shows depth. That shows you can actually do it. And when I see such posts, I'll trust the other digital marketer more.
But that comes when you have already got a client. My question is how to get a client.
No, so when you want to get a client also, you can be working on mock projects. You can be working on your own profile. You can be doing things for yourself or for a client for free.
Okay.
You can get a client for free. The idea is, why is it so that getting a client means getting a paid client? Why can't you work with 2 or 3 people and just get them results? Use those results as a part of your portfolio to build that trust and testimony first.
Okay.
And then leverage those results and those people's testimonials to actually build a paid clientele.
Okay.
Right? You can be especially in the social media space, you are your biggest client and asset.
Yeah.
If I have the ability to scale my page to 1 lakh followers, that means I can scale a founder's page.
Yeah.
And that's why they'll pay my agency to help them build their brand. Simple. That's enough social proof, right? I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah.
Similarly, a graphic designer could just design graphics, maybe family and friends, reach out to FNF, the closest network first. Any Tauji's sons, some cousin is starting up a business, right? Or wants to take their traditional business online. Offer free help to create social media creators for them. Do banners for them. Apni portfolio banao. When you do it for 3-4 people, your work will also get refined. You'll at least have a portfolio to show. And then try and get a paid client. So my idea is just show some proof of work.
Okay.
Once the proof of work is in place, then you go to the outreach part. Whether it's cold emailing, whether it is DMing people on LinkedIn, whether it is using the right keywords to find startup founders or agency owners or creators or companies where you can provide your services then, right? Because then you have to also find the outreach channel. So it could be emails, it could be LinkedIn, it could be Instagram DM for all you know.
Okay.
But it's very important to also do an outreach because with your content, some amount of inbound queries will definitely come in if your work is good and you're displaying it well. But if you can't display it, the best way is you outreach right? With your portfolio again, with your because
So
कुछ काम तो दिखाना
personal
पड़ेगा.
DMing and, you know.
Cold outreach, cold messaging, for sure, right? That will work for sure. It will take a lot of time. There is obviously a process to it, but it is the only way to work with the kind of people you want to, because people who you want to work with will not most of the times walk up and tell you, hey, we would like to work with you.
That's true. But also about the portfolio thing, as you said.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn पे portfolio बनाना important है, या when you are talking to somebody, then आप portfolio बना करके भेजो. मतलब what's the right way of doing it?
So देखो, LinkedIn प्रोफाइल तो आपकी डिजिटल कैनवस है ही. उसके अलावा एक प्रॉपर कोर नीश पोर्टफोलियो which could be on Wix, it could be on WordPress, it could be on any other hosting platform, it could, for all you know, be a Notion doc.
अच्छा.
The idea is all of your work has to be accumulated and assimilated in one place where it's easier to look at. It could be just a landing page that you create as well, right?
Okay.
It should have testimonials, it should have results, and it should have your skill set, what you offer, your pricing, all of that there. That is a portfolio, right? Essentially. And irrespective of the kind of skill set you have, I think it's extremely important to have a portfolio, because it's just taking that one step beyond having just a resume and LinkedIn profile. You should also have a portfolio. It adds on to that entire complete set of profile building, according to me. Yeah.
I think there are a lot of questions coming into my mind right now, and I'm just confused which one to ask you first. So I'll just ask about how you can optimize your LinkedIn profile better. Like you talked about, make a portfolio. मतलब obviously आप अपना profile अच्छे से बनाओगे, सारी details उसमें डालो, but एक अलग से भी portfolio बनाओ.
Correct.
But how to optimize your LinkedIn profile? What are the extra things that made you stand out? I know you used to post frequently, used to post every day about the motivational quotes, about your learnings. But what today, it's a vast platform. How do a person stand out? How does a LinkedIn profile stand out?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, see, a profile will stand out when there's something intriguing or something that gets me curious, right? And when there is enough information also as well. Because if that information is useful to me, it's important to me.
Yeah.
My profile may be enticing for a brand manager, maybe enticing for an influencer marketing specialist, to aspiring students and working professionals looking for guidance, but may not be enticing for a doctor.
Yeah.
Obviously. The point I'm trying to make here is, if it's targeted to who you are trying to reach to, that is the first thing you have to keep in mind, right?
Okay.
Because you're not here to get your profile approved by everybody. And not everybody is going to follow you or connect with you or be interested in your profile. Have your target audience clear in your mind.
Okay.
Who do you want to cater to? Who do you want to reach out to? What's the end goal or outcome you want to achieve from LinkedIn, right? That's when you will be able to stand out, because if you have clarity on who you have to appeal to, then you can backtrack and do all the activities in that manner, right? So, for example, whether it is then designing your LinkedIn banner in a fashion that it appeals to that segment of an audience, right? Using a certain set of keywords that will again relate or align to that group of profession, right? Then talking about those things or connecting with professionals on your LinkedIn profile intentionally who are in that space. If you want to become a digital marketer, add aspiring digital marketers, people who are already digital marketing professionals, or founders of digital marketing agencies in your network, majorly, right? Why? Because when you will create content and post, these are the folks who will relate to it and interact with it. Doctors, lawyers will not. So be very careful about the kind of people you add in your network as well. That's how you will stand out. That's how you will get more engagement. That's how your searchability and visibility on LinkedIn will increase. And at the end of the day, I think the only way to stand out is to have quality content, good things to say and to share. It is all about thought leadership. Without content on your profile, you can't grow. You can't grow on any social media platform.
So
just have it.
Very important.
Yeah, you cannot just have. See, if you have let's take an example. You have an optimized profile. Sub-optimized hai. People search for you. Aap search pe to aa rahe ho. But when I go on your feed is empty. I'm going to get zoned out. It's a blah moment. Doesn't make any sense. Vice versa also will not make sense, because even if you have posts, but you've not optimized your profile, people won't be able to search you well. It is all connected, right? It's like a set of dominoes. One falls and the other will also fall. It's interconnected. Step 1 has to happen. Step 2 has to happen. If you break any of them, the end goal will not be achieved, right? So that's how it is.
But मैं ना literally, मतलब मैं एकदम जानना चाहती हूँ कि LinkedIn में ऐसा क्या करते हैं. Like if I would show everybody the screen that I'm showing right now. But just this is something that is in my mind also, and I want to ask you because please, who better? तो अब generally people are like उनको job चाहिए, क्या करना चाहिए? अगर आप ये देखें तो प्रोफाइल में क्या लिखना चाहिए? What are the extra things that can be do? About section में क्या होना चाहिए?
Sure. मैं quickly आपको walk through देती हूँ. आपकी डिस्प्ले पिक्चर प्रोफेशनल होनी चाहिए. It can't be casual. प्रोफेशनल का ये मतलब नहीं है आपको कोट टाई पैंट पहनना है, बट प्रोफेशनल होनी चाहिए. ठीक है. It cannot be an image where you're vibing on the beach and you put it on Instagram. Simple. आपका जो बैनर होता है, जो आपकी इमेज के पीछे होता है, okay? वो blank होती है space. It's called the LinkedIn banner वाला space. There you have to have keywords related to the domain or the profession you want to work in or are currently working in. Okay. So it needs to tell people who you are and what you do. Okay. Right? It needs to have keywords. It also needs to have images because visual content is what, stays in people's mind. Right. Retention is more. Right. So also have like images related to that profession so that if people forget and skip through the words also, when they look at it, like if you are into marketing, put marketing related icons or images so that immediately a person knows, okay, this person is in this field. Right. So make your banner well. You can use Canva as a tool. You can use Figma, anything to make your banner. Apart from that, it's extremely important to have a great headline. Headline is where your search engine optimization begins on LinkedIn. Okay. That is where at the back end, your ranking happens and people, when they're searching for a particular keyword, are shown certain people's profiles. Okay. So you have to be very, very...
You mean this section?
This section, yes, exactly. That's your headline. Okay. That is where you put keywords related to what you want to be searched for. Simple. Ask yourself, what are the keywords for which you would want your name to be shown on people's LinkedIn feed? And then you optimize for those keywords. And on your featured section, you add things that are extremely unique to you and that you want to highlight. Like your highlights on Instagram, featured section is there on LinkedIn. Yeah. Whether it's an important certification link, whether it's a link to your YouTube channel, your portfolio, it could be anything that you want to highlight about yourself, right? Okay. And about section is all about storytelling. Okay. Go one step beyond the headline. Talk a little bit more about your journey. Do storytelling. Have things to share and not just professional. Also extrapolate and talk a little bit about what you like doing in your free time, your passion projects, your hobbies. You can talk about that in your about section. But draw an entire storyline in the about section because in headline and banner, you're restricted by space. There are character limitations and space restrictions. About gives you a good room to talk about yourself, right? And then, yes, have your top 3 or 5 skills updated. Skill section should be updated. Have your education experience updated. Get recommendations from mentors, colleagues, or anybody who has worked with you on LinkedIn.
Does that add up to the optimization of the LinkedIn profile?
It may not help in the optimization. It adds to the credibility to a different level. Okay. Whether you're looking to get hired by a company or you're looking to you're looking to get a client for your business, when people see recommendations written by people, it is a great thing because somebody taking out the time to actually write a couple of lines about their experience of working with you is a great testimony of the fact that you're good at what you do. Yeah. So you should have it.
Okay. Yeah. What about the post? Does post need to have hashtags or hashtags are not needed? What is it?
So I think, even when LinkedIn started with, telling people to be active and start posting, they were always very clear that hashtags are not going to be a deal breaker or a reason for which your content will get discovered or not get discovered. It was just for content marketing. Okay. I mean, if you're talking about influencer marketing, it's always great and logical to use hashtag influencer marketing or influencer marketer as a keyword to just segregate and help people understand what category of content it comes under. Okay. But it was never a way or a mechanism to get a boost or to get more number of followers. No. And there was a time where people would use 20, 25, 30 hashtags. But what is recommended by LinkedIn, at least for the past 2 years, if I'm not wrong, is just 5 to 6 hashtags is more than enough. Okay. In fact, I think we're moving towards that zone now on LinkedIn, wherein people have also started experimenting with not using hashtags at all. Like, I have stopped using hashtags. I very rarely put hashtags on my posts. Okay. So yeah, in no way, I think you cannot directly link the reach your post gets with hashtags on LinkedIn, at least I can say that.
Okay. Yeah. And what about videos? Does video content work better on LinkedIn or it's just the post thing or you write quotes or add value through text? What is better?
Yes. So I am this person who started creating videos on LinkedIn 4 years ago. even today, finding people who create videos on LinkedIn is difficult. And I had started almost 4 years back. And people always told me what you're doing is not right or it doesn't make sense because who would want to watch a video on LinkedIn? However, my reason to make videos was because I was extremely comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I like breaking down concepts and hence I went ahead with videos. Honestly, LinkedIn was never a platform to create videos. But I got lucky because I got a first mover advantage. Very, very few people in India were creating videos back then. And people liked my style of how I educated them in like 2 to 3 minutes or so. And that's how it worked. In fact, I grew because of my videos, right?
Okay.
And today, LinkedIn is moving towards becoming a video first platform.
Yeah.
So that's great. But the point is, does it work? From an algorithm perspective, not really on LinkedIn, because if you're talking about the likes, shares and other engagement metrics, videos don't perform as well as your image plus text post or any static post on LinkedIn. However, for me, whether it is getting clients, leads, or actually impacting students and working professionals' lives, that has always happened through videos. So the reach may be less, but only the high intent users will watch your videos.
Okay.
People who really care, right, or want to learn will watch it and will spend time. So you get a very quality audience there. You may not get reach there. But I think with the platform, again, moving towards becoming a video first platform, that may change. But it's been 4 years. I can safely say that my text posts, 99% of the times, get better traction in terms of engagement and impressions than my video posts. But I still do more video posts because that's my USP. And like I said, that gets me a quality audience. And that is what is important for me.
Because I've seen other LinkedIn creators as well. One of them is Vedika. I think I follow her as well.
Yeah.
So she makes a lot of video content.
Yeah, she has an agency and she's majorly into marketing and yeah.
She makes video content and I think that performs pretty well.
Again, I think with her also, I think I think the two of us started almost around the same time, or she started a little earlier or whatever. But I think that's what I'm saying, that there are a few people, but you won't find many even today. So back then, I'm telling you,
work differently for each profile. Is it also
that is true. Like I said, see, videos worked for me overall. They may not work for you. And it may work for you. I don't know.
Yeah.
You'll have to anyways experiment with all formats because LinkedIn is not Instagram. You don't have just reels and you make reels and you go viral one day. You have multiple things to experiment with. You have carousels, you have PDF, you have polls.
Even carousels work pretty well when there is storyline and people share in
pointers. Yeah, exactly. So I think my advice is try out everything. See what is working well for your profile and double down on what is working for your profile. That is the most
optimization में सबसे पहली चीज जो सबसे ज़्यादा important is networking with the same industry that you want engagement with or you want to grow in. I think that's very important.
That is extremely important.
Extremely important. क्योंकि अगर आप किसी और से network कर रहे हो and you're expecting
आपकी initial engagement फिर reach कभी आएगी and you'll keep cribbing that I'm not getting traction.
So find out people in your own industry and connect with them.
Yeah.
Also, जैसे client वाली जब मैं बात कर रही थी कि how to find clients, उसमें मैं ये भी पूछना चाहती थी, it has keywords. What are the right keywords? For example, अगर somebody wants to find somebody in digital marketing field, they want a client in digital marketing field where the other person is offering a particular service. What kind of keywords should that person put to find such clients?
You're saying to find a client to offer digital marketing services. See, if you want to find a client, सबसे पहले तो आप डिजिटल मार्केटिंग एज अ कीवर्ड आप डाल ही सकते हो या एजेंसी ओनर डाल सकते हो बिकॉज मोस्टली जिनकी एजेंसीज होंगी दे मे require a digital marketer for some work in-house or to outsource it, right? So look for titles of people because, see, you cannot limit it. Even brands will need a digital marketer. A creator may also need help of a digital marketer. And if, let's say, you're offering services around content writing, content strategy, and you're also helping people with performance marketing, you know all of this. So first understand who are the people who need these services. Companies also need it. Brands also need it. Startup founders need it. Almost everybody. So look for people with those keywords and see, are they already having a team in-house? Aapko thodi research, you have to stop them a little, right? Go to their website, go to their socials, see what they're currently doing. Do you think their game is on point? If yes, okay. If you think you can add some value, then try and get an email ID of an HR or of somebody working there already. Or if it's a startup, then the founder. And then just send a very good and a well-written, well-backed up cold email and try and tell them this is what I can do for you. Not just tell them hire me. this is what I'll do for you.
Does
This is
storytelling
my
helps
portfolio.
in writing an email, like when you talk like a story, when you're saying a story? Does that help, or just being direct in the cold email is important?
No, I think, see, having a story always helps because we as human beings love listening to stories or looking at them. But the idea is, while there is a story, there also has to be something that I can look at and know that you can do that for me, and it's not just a story.
So yeah,
Because a story,
as well.
a story has to have backing as well, right? Because at the end of the day, it can be an imaginary story.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
But like
it has to be a
pull a client, maybe story works.
Yeah, exactly. So talking about things you have actually done and backing them up with results is what will help. Yeah.
So one of my questions was how to find the right keywords to search a job on LinkedIn. So a lot of people don't know what is the right keyword. Like if somebody wants a marketing job, what is that right keyword? Is there any platform where you can find keywords, or you just write it? Because even after writing the keyword, like you want a marketing job, still there is not enough of relevant jobs that come to your profile, or you're not able to.
Yeah. See, I think it's pretty simple. If you're looking for a digital marketing job, obviously type digital marketing. If you're looking for a content strategy job, put content strategist or put content marketing, all of those keywords. But if you still feel you're not able to navigate through it, there's no tool as such. But there is this technique and hack, which I think you can use. Just go to the company websites of the companies you aspire to work at, go to their careers page, right? And find the JDs, job descriptions of different jobs by putting certain keywords. And there you will get a lot of job titles and the exact job roles for which most companies hire. When you look at 6-7 companies for a particular domain and go through their JDs, you'll get a clarity on the repeated keywords that are being used everywhere. And that will give you clarity on what the industry is looking for also, and then looking for jobs. And this hack can also be used to optimize your LinkedIn profile for that job.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think you can get an answer right there.
So that as we know, LinkedIn is a great platform to find jobs, to get clients, and for networking. But is there any alternative of LinkedIn? Are you aware of any alternative that you can talk about?
See, the exact replica and a platform that will help you with everything, I don't think LinkedIn would have an alternative that way. But I mean, there are obviously a lot of networking apps nowadays. Like there was something called Lunch Club that had come up in the middle, wherein anybody you want to network with or need a specific amount of time with them, you could network with them on the app, download it, find people in your vicinity or basis certain criteria and book time with them, professionally network with them. So, ऐसी बहुत चीजें आई हैं. I'm also a part of an offline community called Leap Club, wherein it's only for women, obviously. But again, it's for networking. You have clubs, you have offline activities, online workshops happening. People help each other with jobs, freelance gigs also. Sab ho raha hai. It's an ecosystem. But a complete alternative to LinkedIn as such, or a platform that's able to do everything that LinkedIn is doing, I don't think I know of any. Yeah.
Okay. As you're also a career coach, we have few questions regarding that as well, also about resume building and everything. So, students that come out of their 12th standard and then look for, colleges and job, they do not know which niche they want to, further navigate their career into.
Yeah.
So how do you help them? Because you're also a career coach. So how do you help a student who's confused to navigate the right career path?
Sure. So I think, see, the first thing is to understand yourself and your capabilities best. So it's one thing to know I like this and I don't like this, but it's another thing to know I like this, but I still wouldn't want to pursue it professionally, and I don't like this, but I could still maybe try and do this. It might sound confusing, but I'll give you an example. You may be somebody who's a great dancer, or you may be great at basketball as a sport. That does not directly align or mean or result in the fact that you'll become a basketball player and pursue it professionally. You're good at it. But whether you want to pursue it as a profession is a function of multiple parameters and a personal choice. Right? You could be great at mathematics, doesn't mean you become a mathematics professor, a Vedic math teacher, or a statistician. Right? Being good at mathematics could also land you up in finance. You could become a CA, you could get into CS, or you could, for all you know, just become an educator. You don't know. My point is, it's very important to obviously be aware of what you're good at and not good at, basic strengths, weaknesses. But go beyond that a little and reflect and understand that out of the options that I think are aligning with my strengths and my weaknesses, what is it that I would want to pursue as a profession also?
Okay.
I don't think of it from the rest of your life, because you shouldn't think of the rest of your life, because we live in a very dynamic world and things are changing every single day. So what to mat socho? But for the next 1 year, for the next 2 years, can you do something like that? Think of it from that perspective, and then, and do you want to put the pressure of money on it or earning some?
Yeah.
Right? You could be great at yoga, but why do you don't want to monetize yoga? Right? But at the same time, like writing, but you're ready to put the pressure of putting, but you're ready to earn pressure of earning money on writing.
Yeah.
And maybe you want to become a full-time author. So I think my process of coaching is a lot to do with reflecting on these questions.
Yeah.
Because when you reflect on these questions, do certain exercises in retrospect and introspect, you automatically get to a point where you understand why you're choosing what you're choosing. Then you also have to reflect on, were you doing this just because your chacha's son also did it, or just because 1,000 other people in college were doing it?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times peer pressure from parents, society pressure causes you to make certain career choices. What you internally want, you only know when you make that decision. Listen to people, seek for guidance also. But I always say, choosing your life partner and choosing your career path ultimately should be selected by you. Because you have to live with them and that career for the rest of your life. It's you who has to bear it every single day. So if you judge, can you do it up?
But you decide whether you want, can you get that monetary benefit or no? I think that's a very important question, because when I chose journalism, I never knew what kind of money would I be able to make. Yeah, what I was thinking was, I'll create an impact in the society. I'll do this, I'll do that. But then you don't even have the freedom of reporting to the ideas.
Yeah. So I guess so many things that you get to know later on, which is so difficult. And I'm sure you would have realized then that it's not just being in front of the camera and reporting and going on channels, or maybe reporting something live and covering it, but there's so much more that goes on completely, right? So yeah.
Also, journalism is not a profession in India that's paid pretty well.
And so that's something that people don't know.
Yeah. So I think very important for you to know, what income,
what expectations also that I should set, right? Because see, money is important, and obviously you're doing a job to earn money.
Yeah.
Why is somebody working? So you have to look at the financial viability also.
So with that, I also wanted to ask you कि resume में क्या-क्या चीजें important है, and does tier 1 college hold a good value in your resume? Does it matter or does it not?
Yeah, no, I think, see, obviously the kind of a college that you come from, again, it's very easy to say, overall from the larger scheme of life, मैं bird eye view से देखूं, शायद इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
Okay.
But आपको immediately right out of college जो access मिलता है, networking opportunities मिलती हैं, या the kind of life you will have, indirectly or directly is determined by the kind of college that you go to, because that's your first set of interaction with human beings outside of your family in general, so closely. They help you grow, it helps you build your mindset, your values, your initial opportunities come from there. So it matters, it does, right? And yes, not everybody who goes to an IIT is a successful person also. Not everybody who goes to a tier 4 college may also still be doing well. But there are people from tier 2 colleges also doing much better than an IIT or even someone from Harvard. So it's a debatable thing. But I think overall, the kind of college you go to definitely matters. And if you do your degree from a top tier college, it gives you an unfair advantage and that first mover advantage in the market, or just getting a foot in the door for sure. Right? And then if you have that, plus you have a good profile and your resume is built in a manner wherein the focus is on your skills, it's on your work experience, you've done internships, or you've done freelance work, or you've volunteered with startups, you've been a part of different clubs and chapters, attended conferences, been to events, you show an holistic growth.
Okay.
Decent academics, if not so great, but still done everything else, been a part of the organizing team for your cultural fest and tech fest also maybe. The idea is you should grow as a person in those 3, 4 or 5 years, whatever degree you're pursuing. You can't just grow on one side. If you're just growing technically, but you're not building on your people skills, you'll still fall short. Vice versa will also not work. You're great at communicating, you're good with people, but you're not adaptable or agile with tech or understanding where the world is moving. You'll still fall short. Idea is concentrate on holistic growth. Display that holistic growth on your resume via your certifications, via your projects, via your experience, via your extracurricular activities. And once that 360-degree growth is visible, and plus you have a backing from a good college also, then it's the cherry on the cake, right? So I think that's the right way to approach it.
And also, if I talk technically, so should your resume have also those keywords for the job that you're applying?
It should, 100%. So I think, again, the job description will be your sole source of truth. And basis the keywords that are present on the job description, which are typically the skills needed to excel at that job, you should have those keywords as a part of your resume, because that's how the ATS, which is the application tracking system, which uses, different algorithms at the back end to scan through your resume and accept or reject your resume in 6 seconds, will be able to make out how much of your resume is compatible or aligning with the job description set aside by the recruiter for that role.
Okay.
So it is definitely important.
So you basically make different resumes for different job applications.
You tweak your resume for different applications. You don't make it from scratch for each application.
Okay.
You make one master resume or a golden resume, as I call it, the golden template. And then you just tweak the sections wherever you think these keywords can be inserted. And that tweaking should not take you more than 15 minutes per job role once your master resume is ready. That's it. So people are just lazy. आपको बैठ के पूरा resume scratch से बनाने को कौन बोल रहा है? करने की जरूरत ही नहीं. 10 to 15 minutes of a change is what you need.
तो बस description में जो थोड़ा details है.
Experience section में typically, when you're writing your bullet points, skill section and projects में typically, these are the 3 sections where you can majorly tweak things.
Okay. वहाँ पे keywords.
वहाँ पे the keywords can be interchanged. वहाँ पे the keywords का usage is also more, and those are the right places where the recruiters and the ATS will look for the keywords also.
Just another question we wanted to ask you, because you also give career advice to students. What do you think about dual degree? For people, for students who are in 12th standard, should they go for dual degree programs? What are your views on it?
See, I feel that as long as your interests align with the kind of program you're choosing, whether it's like a major minor system or you're doing a complete dual degree and pursuing 2 degrees together, whatever may be the system or the way it's been designed, ultimately it should align with your career goals and what you want to, where you want to get to. If you feel doing a MBA with a let's say a major in human resources, but a specialization or a minor in data analytics puts you in a position or in a career space wherein you can leverage your human potential and people skills and combine it with data, which is the killer combination, and put it to use in today's hiring ecosystem and in the corporate world, then wonderful, right? You should go with a dual degree because that's the kind of space you want to work in. Dual degrees allow you to get the best of both worlds in a way, right? Because you don't have to really compromise on maybe learning one and then waiting for a couple of years to, learn the other, then combine the skills and look for a job that allows you to do both. It just saves you a lot of steps. And if that aligns with your ultimate career goal, I think it's a win-win, right? It's great. As long as you're able to make complete use of the course and make use of the knowledge that you gain outside the course also and put it to use. So again, when you're doing a dual degree also, supremely important to put whatever you're learning to use by looking for internships during your first year itself, right? Try and find real-time work where you can apply skills from both the degrees you're doing to again gauge. Are you even able to apply what you're learning? If that's the approach, it's definitely beneficial, right? But if you're doing it just for the sake of doing it and to have it on a certificate that you've done a major, minor, you have a dual degree in this and this, it's not going to happen.
Also, you can do it both online or you can choose one regular and one online, which gives you a lot of flexibility of time.
Correct. Or you could do both offline, whatever suits you.
Also, what do you think about doing an online MBA versus a regular MBA?
You have put me in a spot. I see, if I have to be very honest, you can't really compare the two, okay? The experience entire...
I'm talking about doing an online MBA from a tier 1 college, because a lot of people cannot travel and, get...
Agreed. And they're full-time jobs at times as well. And you cannot leave that job because you have financial responsibilities. See, if your circumstances are not allowing you, come what may, to be able to do it, but you still want to do it from a top tier 1 college and have that degree, added to your, feather, to the different feathers on your cap, I think it's not a bad option for sure. Because if you are able to get the credits, give it your best, it's all about what you make of the opportunity. How much, whatever you're doing, if you can be amongst the top 1%, you're going to get the best outcomes out of it. Whether you do it hybrid, whether you do it online, you do it offline. You could go to Harvard and still not make the right use of it. But somebody sitting and doing like, let's say, IIM Ahmedabad say, ya IIT Bombay say, doing like a distance learning course or doing a master's program in an online fashion. But if they make complete use of it, ask the right questions, maintain relationships with the professors, network with your peers, find great opportunities, work on your skill set, you'll still be able to get a job ultimately in the job market and do well for yourself because the stamp or the certificate is from that. Yes, you didn't go there in person, which is okay. But again, the point is, given the circumstance, can you be amongst the top 1% in your class?
And also the quality education that you get. It all depends on the university is what I...
Definitely. The kind of teachers who are going to teach you, the kind of curriculum that's designed for you, you have to make the best use of that. So it's totally dependent on, how you take it.
I know you have a flight to catch, but there's just one last question that I want to ask.
Sure.
Being a career coach, I think you have 4 years of experience being a career coach as well.
Yeah.
So how can somebody else become a career coach, and who can become a career coach, and what's the earning potential of the same?
Sure. So firstly, I want to kind of tell you this thing that to become a career coach, there is no educational degree per se that exists. There are career counseling certifications. So I'm a certified career counselor.
Okay.
I've done my certification in collaboration with UCLA, which is a college based out of US.
Okay.
And Univariety provides the certificate. So I'm Green Belt certified as a career counselor, right? So career counseling has a lot of certifications and levels. To become a corporate trainer also, you can do a TTT. But for career coaching, yes, there are very, very few niche programs outside of India where you can do like a master's in career coaching also, right? But I haven't done that. Typically, to be a career coach, for me at least, it has work basis results. A career coach is somebody who helps you get closer to your career goals. They're not an HR, number one. They don't help you get a job. They help you upskill to be able to get a job or get to that job quicker. Which means I can help you with building a great resume to land your dream job. I can help you with preparing for your interviews to get your dream job. I will help you with building your LinkedIn profile to get a job, but I am not an HR who will put you in touch with the company and give you the job. I'm not an outsourcing agency, right? That's firstly, understanding what a career coach does, right? You majorly work on the non-technical aspects as a career coach, right? You have technical career coaches also. They will train you on the technical aspects. For example, I help anybody and everybody right from the age of an 18 to a 50, irrespective of their profession, with anything on the soft skills and profile building side. But if a software engineer comes to me and they do, I will not help them with preparing for the technical interview. I will help you with the HR round, behavioral round. I'll help you build your resume as a software engineer, your LinkedIn profile. That I'll do. For everybody. So a product manager will also come to me. Project manager will also come. Journalist can also come. Anybody can come. But I help you with the soft skills and the profile building aspect as a career coach, right? And you can do that if you have results. I mean, if you have done it for yourself or you have done it for 100 other people and their resumes have got shortlisted, they are getting placed, you have again testimony of work.
Is this an in-demand profession here in India?
I think so. I mean, more than in-demand, I just feel there's a need for it, right? Because people are confused with what they should do in their career and where they should go. I think just mentorship as an industry is huge, right? Because people always like seeking advice or just cross-checking if what they're doing is correct or not.
And I think they should, because career is one thing that you should it's an irreversible.
It's an irreversible.
You have to take the decision wisely. And I think that's what College Vidya is also trying to do. They're trying to bring in, more awareness in people, learners, while they're selecting the right university. So I think with that, we'll end this podcast. Thank you so much for coming and giving us the time.
No, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I had a lovely time and I really hope that all the viewers get insights out of the podcast and they're able to apply it in their life. Thank you so much for having me once again.
Thank you so much. And we will call you in another episode because there is a lot of other things that I want to ask.
Please do.
And we are running short of time because you have a flight to catch. I'm leaving you.
Yes. But for everybody and the viewers in general, I mean, if you ever have any questions, I try and answer to most of the DMs, whether it's on my LinkedIn or Instagram. So I go by the name of Dhairya Gangwani, my name on LinkedIn. Dhairya Decodes on Instagram and YouTube. You can feel free to reach out. And I try and answer most of the times.
But I'll also put your LinkedIn link in the description. they can connect with you.
Yes, and hopefully we'll shoot another podcast and then we'll answer.
Yes, because we talked about LinkedIn, but I think we can talk about and explore more about resume and how to crack a job interview.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's
would love to.
So we'll see you another time.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.